Estate Horror Stories Episode 1 with Chelci Clarke. Chelci, you're our first guest. We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so Chelci, tell us a little bit about what do you do?
I am a mortgage professional. So a lot of people don't know that you are supposed to get pre-approved or talk to a lender before you go out and purchase a home. Just like if you were to walk into like a car dealership, people think, oh, I'm going to the car dealership, I'm going to pick out my car.
Yeah.
They don't ever think to get financing first. They just show up.
They're like, how am I going to pay for it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's normally what happens. They normally go to a realtor first. Which is great. We want to connect them with great people, but they still need the money.
They still need the money.
Some people, very small amount don't. But yeah, so I do mortgages. So basically what happens is if you need a loan, I qualify you for what you need, and then we get you with a pre-approval letter and connect you with a realtor like yourself, and then
awesome.
They go look for a home and
That's,
hopefully get a contract.
Yeah, hopefully, especially these days, it's tricky, folks.
Yeah.
Keep your head up. How long have you been in the industry for?
I have been a mortgage loan officer for 9 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of different shifts in the market then.
I have.
Yeah. It went from easy to not so easy to wherever we are right now.
Yeah. It's been a good, I think it's just a little different. I think keeping a positive attitude, it's just different. You just have to know how to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. Navigating's key for sure. And like patience and persistence. That's why I always preach to people.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Don't give up. Oh my God. Okay. So 2 more kind of like get to know you questions. Then we're going to deep dive into your real estate horror stories, which we're all very excited to hear because real estate is insane and there are so many crazy stories.
Yep.
So what is your favorite thing about your job?
Oh.
Be honest with both of these too.
Okay. I'll answer that one first. Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about my job, honestly, is I have 2 things. I'm going to tell you 2 things. On the client level, I didn't grow up with parents who talked about money. We didn't talk about money in my family at all. They didn't talk about purchasing homes or real estate, or they didn't talk about the money they had in the bank. Like I really had no idea.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I got into the mortgage industry that I was like, wow, you can build generational wealth. And the majority of people make their money off of buying and selling real estate. I didn't know that. Fun fact, 75% of people's retirements are actually wrapped up in their homes that they own. So
wow, that is a fun fact.
Step 1, buy a house.
Step 1, buy a house. You want to retire, buy a house.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the majority of people will put between 5 and 10% consistently in their 401ks, not 20% like we used to. Because there really isn't that much money to go around. People don't make that anymore. So to say that the average person has about $400,000 or $500,000 in savings by the time they retire, that's really not gonna get them until they're 80 years old.
Yeah.
Or longer now that we're living longer. So
right.
Real estate is super important.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I'm trying to build my own like real estate portfolio because it's like the future nobody knows, and we're not guaranteed Social Security, and Social Security checks really aren't even going far for people anymore. So it's really sad. Okay, last question, and you have to be brutally honest. What is your least favorite part of this job?
My least favorite.
Yes. What's the thing you just hate?
Honestly, besides the obvious, which when people don't get their offers accepted.
Yes. Ugh.
Which is a super downer because some people get, especially right now, get discouraged and then they just stop looking. My least favorite thing are people that, I don't want to say it in a rude way, that waste time. Yeah. But people that just don't listen.
Dude, tire kickers for sure.
I promise you, I need 30 days of pay stubs. I promise. I need.
They don't want to submit documents.
Yes, I need your photo ID.
Yeah.
It's just for me, because I've been in the industry for, I don't think for a super long time, but enough time
almost
to
a
know.
Decade. That's a long time.
Enough time to know, really. I do know what's going to help set you up for success.
Yeah.
I have a system.
Yeah.
I have a process, and I want to make it as easy as possible.
Right.
I fine-tuned it. I have checklists for everything.
I know you do.
So
I know for a fact I've seen them.
Yes. So yeah, I think that's probably the thing I hate the most is,
Okay.
you know, if I ask someone for a handful of things and they give me 2 and they're like, is that good? Like,
Yeah.
no, I need all of the things.
Totally relatable. Listen to your lenders, people. Do what they say. They're not just like there to waste your time. They're there to get you what you want.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah, that's frustrating.
Oh, I forgot to tell you.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The other thing that I really like, because I had
Yeah.
2 things.
Oh yeah.
One was client-based, and
Uh-huh.
the other one is business-based.
Yeah.
And it's more with my business partners, so people that we pass referrals back and
Mhm.
forth. Referrals meaning like we've gained a relationship with each other, kind of like me and you.
Yeah.
You know, helping them grow their business. I've never had a part of me that's kind of like, I'm gonna sit on my hands and wait for business to kind of run through the door. It's always adding value to people, my clients, my partners. How can I help grow you? Because I know it's gonna grow me. And that's kind of where my creative brain sits, is I want to make sure that we're helping everybody grow.
Yeah.
And keeping the people we actually love and are good at their job in the industry.
Absolutely.
Especially during this kind of time.
It's a difficult time. And I know for a fact, yeah, you're very proactive. Like, I think you are the best at following up with every single lead I send you.
Oh, yay.
You send me the tracker and I'm just like, wow, look at that.
Yes.
The touches. And it's true. I mean, they say what? You have to reach out to somebody on an average of 12 times before you get a deal. And it's like, that is so hard, and you often get discouraged before that. So I always commend you for going that extra mile and trying to get there. So
You
it's
will not
really
escape.
impressive. You really won't. Ooh, she'll get you one way or another. Real estate is such a weird industry. You know, anything can happen in it. No 2 days are the same. So tell me, what are a couple of, like, thinking about the 9 years that you've been in the industry, like, what are just some of the horror stories you have? Just like the things that you just are cringy and you've learned the best lessons from. So I'd love to know.
Yes, so I have a couple of them. Some of them are learning experiences on my side, and others are just like clients that they just, again, didn't listen, or maybe they just didn't feel 100% confident, or maybe I just wasn't strong-armed enough. But during this time, it is very difficult for lenders. A lot of people are going out of business.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of playing dirty when it comes to competing. It's kind of competing in not an unfair advantage, but they do a tactic called bait and switch. And a lot of people are not familiar with the term. I was kind of surprised. But bait and switch is quite literally like when you bait someone with something shiny and sparkly and it looks so amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where that's, you know, if it looks good or too good, then it's probably too good to be true.
It's never true.
Yeah, never true. So, but sometimes they ride the border really well. And so they bait you and then they switch it on you last minute. So if you know how loans go, or even cash, you know, buying homes, you know that a loan cannot close in less than 7 days. Like the loan estimate, it's on a timer, it's the thing, it's 7 days. So how they do it, it's kind of sad. It's happened to my dad.
No, before you were in your industry, right?
No, during. It's happened to.
He went with a different lender? That like there's its own horror story, family and real estate.
He didn't do it on purpose. I love my dad.
Sure.
But I mean, it's one of those things. So yeah, so my dad, really good friends, a realtor I work with still, and my best friend ever. So, and all these people, they've all learned with me as I've gone through. But essentially, what happens, and I'll just give you one of them because this has happened so many times, is which she really should have known better, but she came back to me, and I'm like, I always tell my clients, please come back to me if you get a quote that's better than mine. Yeah. Like, please understand, I am not cheap. I'm competitive. Right. I'm going to give you the best service, be the most honest with you. You'll hear from me regularly every Tuesday and beyond, you know, until your loan closes, and even after that. So I really like to hang on to my clients, but the horror part is she came back to me. She said, Chelci, I don't know what to do because I know you're super honest with me and you mean well and like you told me the truth. I'm like, yeah, so what are you worried about? She said, well, I got this quote and it's $10,000 cheaper than yours.
What?
Yes. I'm like,
that's substantial.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
So riding a fine line, this is what I mean. So they were about 0.5% in rate less than ours. So even then I was kind of skeptical. And $10,000 cheaper. So I'm like, where are you making your money? Because lending is all math. It's not magic. You don't wave a wand and like the money all breaks itself down. And I can normally do it by hand. So I was just like, you know, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm going to be honest with you. $10,000 less. I just don't see where anybody's getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
At that point, I'm like, the lender's not making any money. The loan officer's not making any money. Where is this coming from? And she's like, Chelci, I just can't say no. It's $10,000 less for my family. I'm like, okay. I totally understand.
That's a big chunk.
I'm not going to fight you on it. And so knowing her, I follow up every week. Even though she's no longer my client. I followed up with her every week, and the first week I didn't hear back. The second week I'm like, hey, did you ever get a signed loan estimate? Like a signed document showing you that your fees were going to be less, because before it was a verbal and like a typed email.
Verbal doesn't mean anything.
No, verbal means nothing. And a typed email also doesn't mean anything unless you have a loan estimate or an itemized fee worksheet that has the bottom. There's the license number for the company itself, and then up top it should say the loan officer's name and their licensing and something that has licensing on it. Anything else, even if it's just an email, is not a legal binding anything. So she said no, that she had not received a loan estimate.
And how far into the process were they at this point?
At this point, she shopped me a week in. So we're at 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
At this point. So not a signed loan estimate. So remember that 7-day thing that we talked about a little bit ago. So what they do is they get you inside the 7-day buffer. So remember, this client had put $15,000 down for her earnest money. Which is a whole other topic.
Which becomes non-refundable at some point.
And so they remove contingencies right off the bat.
There's that non-refundable.
Which is not me, by the way. I'm not the loan officer anymore. So she said, Chelci, like, I don't know what to do. They haven't reached back out to me. I haven't gotten a loan estimate. Like, you really should have signed something by now stating that you're going to have these fees be what they promised you. I'm like, you have to watch out. Remember the 7-day thing. And she's like, okay. Well, we're day 6 now, okay? We're in the window. So now we're in the window. I can't save her at this point.
She's beyond saving.
She's beyond saving. So I'm going to pause there. So hold the suspense. It's killing you. I know. It's a 7-day window. So before, I do a lot of things to get people into contract. Like including call the listing agent. I shoot a video, which is kind of weird, to the seller, explaining how great we are and why they should accept our offer and that they can call me directly. I'm not a 1-800 number. You don't have to go through my assistant.
I'm a real person.
Here's
my
cell.
Even AI.
Have my phone number. And I send it to their agent so they can just, pass it on to their seller. So we did all this stuff, and talking to the listing agent, she goes, I have a backup offer, full cash. Can you close in this time frame? And I said yes. She's like, if you can't, we're going with the cash offer the day after. So I know that there's a full price backup offer in place.
That is pressure right there.
Terrible.
Oh my God.
And I'm not the one closing, y'all. Not the lender. So we're in the 7-day window. Day 6, she calls me and she goes, Chelci, they just called me. I don't even know if we're going to be able to close the loan. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, you're fully qualified. What do you mean? And she's like, well, the interest rates now are 0.25% more than what you quoted me, and apparently they never locked me in.
Oh my God.
So, never locked her in.
Was this a company you had ever heard of before?
No.
Okay.
This was online, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
www.loans.com.
Something like that. Or when you go to those websites that you say, give me quotes, and they give you 20.
Sure, it was one of them. It was the first one.
Yes, very bad. So I go, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And so she comes back to me the very next day, very upset. She's like, can you save this at all? And I'm like, well, I can jump in and see if I can close you. With me, I locked her in,
Right.
Initially. So,
Rightly so.
and I left her loan alone, so I didn't cancel it. I'm like, well, I can try. Let me call the listing agent and see if I can just jump right back in. I called the listing agent, and she said, sorry, I told you we have a full backup cash offer. She goes, oh, and by the way, we're taking your client's earnest money for wasting our time.
Oh, gosh.
So,
which is their right, unfortunately.
Yes. So, unfortunately, there's the horror story part.
So
tried.
They lost $15,000
instead of saving 10.
Brutal life lesson too.
Yes, I should get a T-shirt that says "Listen to Chelci."
Oh my God, you should. I would wear it.
So yes, that's story number 1.
So what's the lesson there? All that glitters is totally not gold, like ever.
Never.
Yeah.
It never is. The bait and switch thing. There are times now. I don't want to say like people who are competing because I do it all the time.
Sure.
People who compete, like legitimately, they have a good, when the math plays out, when you can do the APR calculation in comparison to interest rate, or, everybody gets paid off of a basis points. Like if I can break that down mathematically and tell you it makes sense, then I'll be like, totally makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's what happened with my dad. I was like, totally makes sense.
Right.
You should do this.
But you were still like, damn it, Dad.
Yes, I know.
Family.
But that's okay. You kind of play the field a little bit there when it comes to family. But yeah, almost always, it's too good to be true. If someone says you can get a rate, because right now, I'm not allowed to say rates because it's a podcast. Never mind, call me.
They're high, but you should call your lender or Chelci if you don't have a lender. If you don't, obviously it should be Chelci.
Yeah, thank you. But right now, if they quote you a rate that's like, I don't know, 2% less than the market price with no points.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Red flag.
Don't do it.
Where are they getting that?
Yeah, like instant spooky should be like no.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Oh God.
And losing money. Yes. I have. Do you want me to just roll into my other horror story?
Let's absolutely, yeah. And just a very quick caveat, like losing EMD is like, oh my God. Knock on wood, I've never lost anybody's EMD, but that is like one of the biggest stressors of real estate, because it's refundable up until a certain point when the client says, no, we're good, we're moving forward, you can release that, contingency and make it non-refundable. And then like those people, they had the right to take that money for wasting their time, unfortunately. Legally they did. So
as a seller, who has sold homes myself, I've taken 2 people's EMDs.
Yep. Well, if they're wasting time and they're not staying within their contract timelines, it is what it is. So that's why you have to have good professionals working for you.
Yes.
All right, horror story number 2.
Okay, horror story number 2 is more on wire fraud.
Oh no, I don't even want to listen to this.
I know. So I had a client who, the sweetest little old lady. This was probably like 7 or 8 years ago.
It's always sweet old ladies.
She was a sweet old lady, and they hawk you really well. So if you don't know how to read like spam emails, YouTube it. I'm sure there's a 5-minute video that'll show you like how to make sure it's legitimate. But I had a client, she wanted a low house payment. She was living in Arizona. I'm licensed all over the place. So this was an Arizona loan. And she was putting half down. So it was about $200,000 in cash that she was putting down.
Oh no.
I know. So I had expressed her, and this was more of a learning moment on me too, and this is where it was becoming more popular for people to catch it in wire. But she was wiring her funds, and it hadn't been expressed to her, like, only use the first wire you get. So when you initially go into escrow, the title office or escrow office, depending on what your state does, will send you a packet, and you have to sign it all and review everything, and in there is one piece of paper, and it says wiring instructions on the top. Your wiring instructions will never, ever, ever change, ever, from the first one you get in the mail. Ever, never, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And you should always call the escrow officer to verify.
And I honestly wouldn't even go that far. So call your loan officer. Because this is where your title and escrow people. So my little old lady thought she was following the steps.
Yeah.
Okay, so she got the email saying that her wire was changing. Red flag.
Oh,
so
no.
She knew that because we had told her emails red flag.
Right.
And so she's like, oh, it says it's changing, red flag. The issue she did was she called the escrow officer phone number that was on the email.
Yeah. Nope.
So the email said, oh, how many questions, call your escrow officer. And it had legit the escrow officer's name, her whole signature, her picture, and everything.
New phone number.
Yes, phone number was different. So she called the escrow officer, and somebody legitimate picked up the phone and talked to her.
Oh gosh.
And got her to be like, yes, this is legitimate. We sent it to you this morning. You know, here's the new. What do you want me to send it to you again?
Yeah.
You know, they did the whole thing and sent it to her.
Oh no.
And so I called her and I was like, hey, did you send your money to title? And she said yes. And I got the new wiring instructions this morning. And I'm like, whoa, stop. Stop. And she's like, yeah, I sent it this morning. You should be good. I'm super excited to get my keys. Yay.
Yeah.
So I reported it right away. Right. So in case you don't know, there's a special sector at the FBI just for housing fraud. Super special.
I didn't know.
It's a thing. And so you report it. And so we reported it, and luckily we got the money back.
Because that was $200,000.
$200,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So luckily we got the money back. Normally, if you don't catch it within the first few hours, it's gone. Like, gone. If you catch it after 24 hours, it's way gone.
It's totally gone. That stuff is spent.
Yes. So luckily we did get the money back, but we were able to catch that, and I was like, wow, these people are doing it over the phone. So the best thing I can tell people to prevent this, and like listen like really carefully, save your loan officer's cell phone number in your phone. Just put it in your phone, and if you ever have any questions, call your loan officer. Because they won't get the phone numbers wrong for your wire or your fraud. Like, we work with the same professionals all the time. Like, my escrow officers and all the people I work with, they're in my phone. I'll just call the contact that I have saved in my phone. Like, don't trust phone numbers off of emails.
Yeah.
Just the people you have met face to face, trust them.
Yeah. That's so scary.
And that's it. I know.
Oh my gosh. There are so many scams these days. I know. It's insane. And the elderly, unfortunately, are just such targets.
Yes. I thought I was going to give her a heart attack. I'm like, please don't die before we close.
I would have had a heart attack. If that was my $200,000, I would have had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, luckily it got saved.
It did get saved.
Quick thinking on your part.
That one was the thing. I almost melted.
Yeah. Like, probably just started crying.
Yes, I did. I had a panic attack.
Yes.
New wiring instructions. So again, you'll never get new wiring instructions. They're the same. Don't even question. Delete the email and call your loan officer.
Yeah, report that as spam.
Even if you delete the email and like don't carry on with it, still tell your loan officer about it, because we want to make sure on the escrow side that they're not being hawked or flagged either. Because mistakes happen, you know, it just depends, but we definitely don't want your life savings to be gone.
God, no. That's the last thing any of us want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be responsible for that.
Totally.
Too much.
Yes.
There's too much responsibility in our day-to-day jobs as it stands. We don't want to be responsible for your life savings.
No.
Going to a scammer.
No. And and you can't, no one could control that.
That's so hard. Oh my God.
I know. It makes me nervous just talking about it.
It makes me nervous too. I'm like a little bit sweaty just thinking about wire fraud. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's also a terrifying one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of funnies. They're not so much they are horror stories to me.
We love funnies though. Like, we would love to like end it on something funny maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I have two.
Okay.
They're relatively the same situation. Well, kind of the same situation where we get through the whole process and everything's fine and dandy, and at the very end, like, you know, crap hits the fan. For lack of a better term.
It's okay. Shit hits the fan.
We did it. Yeah. So I had two of them. One of them was a really nice guy, single, older, maybe 65, 60-ish. Income's like fabulous, has an amazing job for 30 years, like amazing credit, amazing assets and savings and retirement. Like, this was like a 15-day close. Like,
oh, nice. Just an A+ client.
No problem.
Yeah.
Love the guy. Met with him in person, go through my whole loan consultation. Part of our loan consultation, in case you want to know, please don't quit your job.
Do not quit your job.
Please don't buy a new car.
Should you buy a car? No.
Please don't buy equipment like a fridge or washer dryer or anything for a house that's not yours yet.
You know, I always tell my clients to treat their lender like their mom, that you have to ask permission for literally everything you're buying.
Yes.
Don't just jump in and buy those appliances because it's on sale right now. Ask your mom first.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So I can't be a hypocrite, because when I was buying my first house, I was in the lending industry. And I did buy a car.
Oh, no, you did not.
I did. I did call my loan officer first.
Okay.
So
did they approve it? Or
they did. Yes, they
okay.
did. But don't put us on the spot. I was literally in the car dealership buying a car when I called mine.
You're like, wait a second, I should call.
Yeah, don't ever do that to me.
Oh, my God.
He didn't do that to me. So this lovely guy, where I pre-COVID, used to go to all my closings. So I'd show up at the closing table with my fun goodies, and the realtor would be there. We were sitting in the room waiting for the escrow officer, and she comes in and sits down, and we start going through stuff. And when I was walking in, I saw this beautiful cherry red Corvette sitting in the parking lot. I was like, man, that's a nice car. My husband loves cars.
Yeah, that's a nice
he
car.
likes fixing up cars. Like, that's kind of like his thing. We're like hot rod people. And so I'm like, wow, I really like that car.
Oh,
like, I think I took a picture of it on my way in to show my husband. I was like, damn, this is
little
a nice car.
did you know it'd be the bane of your existence.
And that was only step one. So the car I almost could have dealt with. So if you buy a vehicle, yes, tell your loan officer. In this situation, if it was just the car that was the problem, if you haven't caught on by now, it was my person who purchased this Corvette.
Yeah.
Figured. Yeah. I can normally deal with that. The amount of assets he had, I could have justified. I'm like, okay, I can use those assets, turn it into income, and justify the payment for the car.
Yeah.
Totally could do that. I can save that. And so that's where my brain went when I was like, wow. Person's name that I really want to say, but I won't because of this podcast.
And correct me, so you guys were going to the closing table
We were for his purchase.
For his
of
purchase.
his home. Yes.
So any amendments at that point would have been a little too late.
I would have had to have extended closing a week to fix it and redraw docs.
Okay.
Which, to me, 15 days, I'm like, doable, like fixable. I could squeeze in an extra week. Nobody was in a hurry on the other side. I could fix that.
That's still a quick close.
Yes, I can fix it. There's rarely something that we cannot fix. Rarely. In this situation, I was like, client, I was like, wow, look at this car, because I took a picture of it on my phone. He goes, oh yeah, that's my new car. And I'm like, are you joking?
You're like, what do you mean? You could have waited one day?
Yeah, one
day?
day. So it's not, when people say, oh, wait till you sign before you buy anything. No. Wait till you fund, you get your keys, you're moved in, maybe a week later, until you're like, we're done, then you can buy some things.
Yes.
I don't mean to be the mean mom, but.
No, you gotta be the mean mom. It's okay. We need you to be.
So this client, yay for you, new car. So I instantly go, okay, I can fix this. Understand we're gonna have to wait a week, and the title officer's sitting right there like, okay.
We're like, I'm here, what are we doing?
And I'm like, well, I can still use your income. And he goes, yeah, and I signed my retirement last week too. The man retired.
Oh my God, that's another no-no. Don't change your job.
Yeah, so he retired. Clearly a good midlife crisis. Brand new house, a Corvette.
Wait a couple weeks to retire.
And retired, and his pension wasn't going to come in for a couple of months. So now he has no great income. Probably took a hit to his credit because of the car.
Yeah.
So that's not really a funny, but it's one of those things like, let's not.
Did he close on the house?
No. He lost his house, his earnest money, everything.
See, that's what you get when you play around, guys. Don't do it.
Please don't.
I mean, I know it looks enticing to retire, right?
Yeah.
And get a new car.
It's not my place to say, but what you do after you get your house is not my business.
Right.
I'll check up on you because I love my clients. I'll be like, how's it going, guys? And if you said a week later you retired, I'll be like, good for you.
That's amazing. I'm so excited.
So happy for you.
Yeah.
But during the transaction, we have to go by guidelines. Like, let's stick to the rules. I know sometimes that's not fun, but it's for the best.
It's for the best. Absolutely.
You know?
How? That's awful. So what is he doing these days? I mean, just living in whatever the house he was living in prior.
Honestly, they took his house. He had already sold it.
Oh.
So he sold the house and then moved
into his Corvette.
I guess his $150,000 car.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He kind of gave up. He was very mad at me, very frustrated.
He was mad at you.
Very mad.
See, that's the hard thing too. It's like you try to give people all of the information to make all of the best decisions on their own, and then at the end of the day, when they make a bad decision, they can still totally just be mad at you.
Oh,
They're
he was
pissed at you.
he was so mad at me.
Been there, done that.
I remember his name. I remember all the people's names that I've had tough,
Sure.
like by name, first and last name. If we've ever had like a tough, I know
it's probably
who you are.
the tougher ones. The tougher they were, the more you'll always remember them.
Yes, and,
yeah.
and you know, they're learning experiences. So now in my loan consultation, if you would like a loan, you'll get this part in my consult. I do mandate all my clients meet me in person, whether it's on Zoom. Like I have to see your face. Some people hop on my consults on Zoom and they have their camera off. I'm like, I don't care what you look like. Your hair could be sticking up. Like I need to see your face.
You're not a bro. We don't care. We want to make sure you're a real person.
Yes, and that's really just
there's a lot of scams.
Well, scams and rapport. I feel like I need you to feel what I'm saying. Yeah. Because it's there for not only your protection, but loans are hard. People think like who bought their homes maybe 10 or 15 years ago. The way that we do loans now is completely different.
Absolutely.
And if somebody says, oh yeah, one click close, no problem, give me like 2 things, maybe we can close your loan. Loans are hard. If your loan officer is not expressing to you the structure of how, yes, this takes skill, there's a lot of hands in the pot, like these are the things that are going to happen and this is the process, but don't worry, I'll take care of you. Yeah. Like that to me, you need, everybody right now needs hand holding. Yeah, absolutely. Every loan is hard.
Absolutely. If they're not asking for your blood type and your firstborn, then they're not a loan officer.
Yeah, you know.
Just kidding. But really, you guys ask for a ton of info, and it's to make sure these people are truly qualified. Yeah. It's a process. I mean, we all saw what happened, you know, in 2008. And that's why everything's so difficult now.
Yes. I like to say it this way. It's a cute little analogy. But I'm like, have you ever been on an airplane, Gaia?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay. So, have you ever been through TSA and security? Those just super joyful people that frisk you.
They're just yelling at you.
It's 5 in the morning. Fingers,
yes.
And they're like moving you and like patting you down all aggressively. Yeah. I'm like TSA. I just have a better attitude.
You're just like you have a bedside manner. You're like TSA with a better bedside manner.
Yes, better attitude. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you for everything under the sun, and then when you think that we're done. And we're a week before closing.
We might need a few more things.
I might need a couple more things. And I promise you, I will need at least one more thing.
There'll be
one more thing.
Sure.
And you're going to be like frustrated and be like, Chelci, why do we need this one more thing? I promise you, you'll get frustrated. Right? And I'm going to be like, remember. TSA.
But it's for my protection. It's making sure that I can actually afford the house that I'm about to buy.
Yes. Yeah. So I do have one more story, and it's more of a funny horror story. All right. So I had one lady who was the opposite of qualified. She was very difficult to get anything. And I was very clear because the gentleman we just spoke of, I had had him the year prior. I'd already gone through that experience.
So that was a kind of a fresh wound for you.
So I was learning, and I had learned. So I had already added in the don't buy anything, don't do anything. And I had qualified her and for not very much, and she was not a very organized person. I like to express that some people just don't know how to do life. Yeah. Like they just, which is okay. They were just never taught. Overwhelming. Yes, it was just a lot for her. And so I'm like, okay, this is a really easy thing for you to remember. Don't buy anything new. Don't open any new cards. You don't have room to sneeze. Yeah. Like no sneezing. Right. Like.
Not with money, not financially.
No, you can't even buy the allergy pills that would help you stop sneezing. Like, no, nothing.
Don't buy anything.
Nothing. Yeah. So she was that tight on her debt to income ratios. Like, if she bought one thing out of the ordinary, like maybe don't go to the grocery store this week. Like, that's how
rough. And at that point, it's like, is it worth it?
So tight. Yeah, for her, the amount of money she was wasting on rent, it totally was. Okay. Because she was like way under, she was opening up cards to live. God, that's because of rent. Yeah.
That's so hard.
So really buying a home was going to help her financially. Yeah. She had just kind of done it too late. Honestly, if she would have started the process sooner.
She'd be in a totally different situation.
Yes, and getting to people, a lot of people told her no. And if she would have gotten to the right place, I think that it would have been different. Not a lot of loan officers are creative. If you don't fit in a box, they're like, sorry. Yeah. I do work for Summit Funding. We're very creative. We're direct lenders. We broker a lot of stuff. So there's very little that I can't do, but in this situation, we get to the closing table, and I did not think it was going to close. I was like, I'll do everything I can. I warned the realtor. I'm like, this is a really hard one.
Right.
Like, it's not something that I can save. I wasn't with Summit at the time, so like I was limited.
Your options were way more limited.
It was way more limited. Yeah. So we get to the closing table and I'm like, thank you, God. Like, we are here. And my processor calls me on my cell phone.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Oh, no.
What do you want?
Yes. And I was like, Pam?
Yeah. Pam?
What's happening? I still talk to Pam, by the way, even though we don't work together anymore. Love you.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're not going to like what I have to say.
I don't even want to take those calls. You're saying
I
that.
know. And
Nope.
the title officer was sitting there. We were about halfway through the closing packet signing. And if it's Pam, I answered the phone.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And she goes, we have a new inquiry, meaning the client opened a credit card.
I thought we had that conversation.
We did.
About not sneezing. That's a sneeze. That's a big old sneeze.
We did. She sneezed. And I was like, okay, well, how bad is it? Like, can we just, how much money did she spend? Can we just pay it off? And like, I'll apply a seller or like a lender credit or something.
Right.
Like, we'll get it paid off. Like, how much is it?
Right.
And she goes, that's not the problem. The inquiry dropped her score 50 points.
Jeez, 50 points.
50 points because she was so maxed out on all her cards.
Oh,
depending on what you do with your credit's its own beast.
Yeah.
Depending on how you do that,
yeah.
it could hit you so badly that it drops your scores pretty bad. So, needless to say, like, the title officer, you know, overheard the conversation. I expressed what had happened. We had to stop in our tracks, stop signing, and like, there is nothing I could do to fix this. Nothing. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but we were able to get our earnest money back gracefully. I'm like,
I mean, thank God for that at least.
Yeah.
A little bit of money in the pocket.
Yeah, so like, she lost the house, like everything, and we were sitting there at the table, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. We tried to warn you, and it is absolutely none of my business.
Yeah.
But
what was so goddamn important?
What did you buy? And I'm like, what was it?
Oh, what was it?
And she goes, I opened a Sears credit card for 5%. I was saving money, Chelci. I was 5% savings. I was saving money, 5%.
No.
And I was like, 5% isn't even sales tax in the state. So what was it? I mean, like, what did you buy?
What did you buy? What'd she buy? What was it? I need to know.
I didn't even know you could buy this at Sears.
Oh, what is it?
Underwear.
Oh my God. What? You got a credit card for underwear?
Underwear.
How much underwear did you need?
$40.
No. Oh my
Y'all.
God. $40
Yes.
ruined her from purchasing her home.
Yes.
Did she ever buy anything else? Did
She
still
destroyed her credit. Last time I checked in was pre-COVID.
So she just downward spiral from there. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Underwear. Okay, folks. If you need to finance underwear, maybe just don't wear underwear. I don't know
or
what to
like
tell
flip
you.
yours inside out till you close.
Just
Like,
go commando.
I don't
if
know.
it's that crucial, like, come on.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Oh my God.
So that was kind of like my funny. But
So underwear ruined that woman's chances to buy a home.
yes.
That's the first. It's probably the first time I've ever heard that.
It's never happened to me again because I share the story so often.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, don't go buying underwear. Oh my God.
Yeah, you know?
My thing that I always tell people in buyer consultations, but it's not as funny as underwear. I just tell them, like, when I'm emphasizing not to go and buy a car, I'm like, so hold off on that Tesla, because I had somebody who had purchased a Tesla and their debt to income ratio was just totally ruined because that was almost $1,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
They bought a year later, which is great, but like they could have bought that Tesla totally destroyed everything though. So
I've had that happen. Here's a save.
Yeah.
Had that happen where they buy a car. I had them return the vehicle to the dealer.
I like
which,
that.
by the way, is not always a good fix. Because now if you return it to the dealer, the underwriter's like, well, they bought a car, now they don't have a car. How do they get to work to gain income?
Eesh.
So we could prove we could prove that he could ride his bike from the location of the home purchase to his job and get to work within 15 minutes, and we approved it.
Okay. Creative financing. Look at that go.
We can get creative and flexible, but don't let that be your excuse. Just because Chelci's creative doesn't mean you can go buy a Tesla. Please don't.
My God, you guys. Okay, so to recap, wow, those were some really great stories. Okay. Family sometimes uses other people than yourself, which has happened to me quite a few times too. It's funny how sometimes
they all learn, they come back.
Well, okay. Well, we'll see what happens with that. I was about to say sometimes strangers are far more loyal than family or friends. So there's that. Don't buy a red Corvette right before you close or retire before closing.
No.
And don't finance underwear. You could ruin your chances of buying a house. That's gotta be the saddest thing I've heard. I mean,
Everything
it's
is
hilarious
possible.
and just really sad too. That sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, hopefully that was helpful for your horse story.
Hopefully you guys know now what you should and should not do if you're buying a house. So
Yes. And if ever in doubt, just call me. Just text me.
Just call her.
On my cell phone, I work. I have an office phone. I couldn't tell you what it was or what the phone number. I can't tell you if I have a voicemail hooked up to it. I don't know anything.
We'll link.
Cell phone.
Should we link your cell phone number on this? We can link that.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
We'll
Let's
link that.
link the
It'll be
cell
linked somewhere. So.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. First episode of Real Estate Horror Stories in the Bag. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you were terrified. I know I was so scared.
Yeah, wire fraud, it's a bad thing.
Wire fraud. That's probably the scariest thing that I heard. Yes, absolutely. So, well, join us for our next episode. I don't know what it's going to be or who's going to be on it, but it will be great. So, thanks, folks, for watching. And thanks so much, Chelci, for being our first victim.
Anytime.
Yay.